One of the greatest struggles in life is the habit of comparing ourselves with others. Almost everyone has experienced it. At some point, we look at someone else's success and quietly wonder, why not me? We see another person's achievements, their wealth, their beauty, or their talents, and instead of feeling inspired, we feel small, as if something important is missing in us. But what we forget is that no two journeys are ever the same. A flower does not bloom by competing with the flower next to it. It blooms because it is meant to. If a fish spends its whole life trying to fly like a bird, it may never discover that it was born to rule the oceans. In today's world, this problem has only grown bigger. With social media, we are constantly surrounded by carefully crafted images of success vacations, parties, awards, big houses, and perfect lives. As we scroll through those images, our own lives can suddenly feel ordinary and dull, even if they are filled with blessings. Slowly, this comparison eats away at our joy, making us restless, ungrateful, and hopeless. This is the story of a boy who once fell into that trap and how he finally learned to escape it. There was a small village near a town surrounded by fields and a beautiful forest. In that village lived a boy named Ethan. He was simple, hardworking, and kind-hearted, and the people around him liked him. But Ethan carried a heavy burden inside his heart, one that nobody else could see. Every day he compared himself to others, and this habit slowly made him miserable. Whenever he saw his friend Liam receiving the best grades in class, Ethan would think, "I wish I was as smart as Liam." When he passed by his neighbor Ryan's big house, he thought, "If only I had that kind of money." Even when he watched someone run faster, sing better, or speak more confidently, he would sigh. Why can't I be like them? These thoughts didn't pass quickly, so they stayed with him. They made him restless and full of doubt. Ethan lost his focus in studies. He stopped enjoying the things he was good at, and slowly, sadness covered his life like a shadow. One evening, a wise old man visited the village. Everyone knew him as Grandpa Joe, a kind traveler who had spent years observing life and learning from people. Villagers often gathered around him to hear his stories and advice. Ethan, who was desperate to find answers, went to him and said, "Grandpa, I work very hard. But no matter what I do, I feel like I will never be as good as others. Everyone seems better at something, and it makes me unhappy." Grandpa Joe looked at him with kindness and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Come tomorrow morning to the oldest tree in the village," he said gently. "There you will find your answer." The next morning, Ethan walked to the ancient tree at the edge of the village. Grandpa Joe was already waiting there. "Look around you, Grandpa," Joe said. "Tell me what you see." Ethan looked carefully. All around him stood trees of many kinds. Some were tall and wide, some were short and thin, some gave sweet fruits, and some gave none at all. "Grandpa," Ethan said, "I see many trees. Some are tall, some are small, some have fruits, some don't." Grandpa Joe smiled. "Now imagine if this apple tree complained, 'Why am I not tall like the coconut tree?' Or if the coconut tree said, 'I wish I could give sweet fruit like the apple.' How would that sound?" Ethan laughed. "That would sound silly, Grandpa. Trees don't compare themselves." "Exactly," Grandpa Joe said. "Now tell me, when you look at all these trees together, how does the forest feel to you?" Ethan looked again. Sunlight danced through the branches, the leaves whispered in the wind, and birds sang in the morning air. The variety of trees made the place beautiful and peaceful. "It feels perfect," Ethan said quietly. Grandpa Joe nodded. "That is life. Just as every tree has its own purpose, every human has their own strengths. The apple tree and the coconut tree are different, but both are important. If they compared themselves, they would be miserable. But when they accept themselves, they make the forest beautiful." Ethan listened carefully, and his heart began to soften. But Grandpa Joe wasn't finished yet. He took Ethan to a nearby pond. Fish swam gracefully in the water, shining under the sun. Above them, a bird flew freely across the sky. Grandpa Joe pointed and said, "Now imagine the fish saying, 'I wish I could fly like that bird.' Or the bird saying, 'I wish I could swim like those fish.' Would that be right?" Ethan shook his head quickly. "No, Grandpa, that doesn't make sense. Fish are meant to swim, and birds are meant to fly." Grandpa Joe smiled warmly. And why, Ethan? Do you want to live like someone else? You were born with your own gifts, your own path. If you keep looking at others, you will never discover your own strengths. Stop asking why you aren't like Liam or Ryan. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do best? Something clicked inside Ethan's heart at that moment. For the first time, he realized the truth. All his life, he had been wasting his energy wishing to be someone else, while ignoring his own talents. That day, everything began to change. Ethan returned home and slowly started to live differently. He stopped comparing himself to others and began noticing the things he was good at. He discovered that he was patient, hardworking, and skilled at organizing and solving problems. Instead of envying others, he focused on these abilities. Day by day, his confidence returned. The sadness that once clouded his mind started to fade. Years passed and Ethan grew into a man. With dedication and honesty, he built his own small business. At first it was modest, but slowly it grew, providing work for others in the village. The same villagers who once saw him as an insecure boy now admired him as a man of strength and vision. One day a young man came to Ethan and asked, "Sir, how did you become so successful? What is your secret?" Ethan smiled, remembering the words of Grandpa Joe. He said, "Never compare yourself with others. If a fish tries to fly, it will always feel like a failure. But if it focuses on swimming, it can rule the whole ocean." In the same way, if you discover your own strength and follow your own path, success will come naturally. He paused, then added, "Remember, the sun and the moon do not shine at the same time, but both are important. You don't need to shine like someone else. Shine in your own time, in your own way." The young man listened carefully, just as Ethan had once listened to Grandpa Joe, and perhaps, in that moment, another journey of self-discovery began. Comparison is a thief of joy. It blinds us to our blessings and our gifts. The forest does not ask its trees to look alike. Sky does not ask the sun and moon to compete. Each of us has a unique role, a unique purpose, and a unique path. Happiness comes when we stop measuring ourselves against others and start growing into who we are meant to be. So the next time you feel small when looking at someone else's success, remember Ethan, remember the trees, remember the fish, and the birds, and remember the wise words of Grandpa Joe, walk your own path. That is where true success and peace are found.